Hi everyone, Ted Wyman here to talk about the CFL West Final. I'm joined by JJ Adams of Postmedia in Vancouver. I'm in Winnipeg, and the game is Sunday at IG Field. JJ, I got to ask you the question that's going to be on everybody's mind right now. How healthy is Nathan Rourke, and how close to 100% effective do you think he can be in Sunday's game?
Well, Nate never says what percentage it is. You hear this all the time. He'll be asked in the scrums, how are you feeling? Are you 100%? And he's like, I don't want to put a percentage on it. I don't want to put a percentage on it. I'll put a percentage on it. I will say Nathan Rourke is probably 95% healthy, but he is going to be 100% effective. The only thing that would be holding him back would be the pain mitigation, how he handles the pain. And I think after another week of healing, the fact that it's going to be minus 40 degrees in Winnipeg or whatever you guys have out there, he won't be able to feel his feet anyways. So, it's fine. I think, he'll be coming out there. Nate's strengths are just his read progression and his arm and his accuracy. So I don't think you have to worry too much about his foot if you're a Lions fan.
So it's only going to be -4, at least that's what they're saying right now. Not quite -40. I know you live in those beautiful climes of Vancouver all year round, but the Blue Bombers are certainly hoping that it is even colder than that because they like the idea of going up against a Lions team that normally plays in a dome, practices in warmer weather out in Surrey, and they've been practicing in this all week. I think they like the idea of it being cold and there being some, difficulty for the Lions. And there have been people who have asked, did we think that the injury to Nathan Rourke, which was in his foot, that had required surgery, would be affected by colder weather? And so a two-part question, do you think that's a possibility? And secondly, is he affected in his ability to run the football? Because I didn't see much of that in the Calgary game, and that's something he's very good at regularly.
Yeah, no, he had I think there was one scramble in the first quarter, and that was it. The rest of the time he was in the pocket. He didn't take off. But I don't know how much of a factor that mobility is going to be. A lot is going to depend on what the Bombers' defensive front does, and that's an excellent front that the Bombers have. But he was mobile in the pocket. You saw him around the second quarter. He started limping a bit. But if you look at his numbers, threw for 350 some odd yards, 2 touchdowns, and the Lions didn't have a single 2-and-out all night long. So I think we could safely say, if he can do that against a very good Stampeders defense, he can handle himself against a very good Bombers defense as well. I can't see his foot is kind of the storyline everyone was wondering about, but I think for them it's kind of a non-factor, and so I think it's going to be a really I'm looking forward to this game. It should be a great game. You think about these high-scoring offenses, these late-out defenses. I mean, all facets of the game, except for maybe special teams for the Lions. It'll be a great matchup.
Well, it's interesting that you say that because I went through it and did a tail of the tape and just looked at pretty much every stat I could find and went head-to-head. And it's amazing how close these two teams are in so many of those categories. I mean, offensively, defensively, rushing, passing. They've got these are the 2 best quarterbacks in the league. The most dynamic receivers in the league are there in Dalton Schoen and Dominique Grimes. The 2 of the top 3 best running backs in the league in Brady Oliveira and James Butler. I mean, good DBs, good. It's just a strong matchup all the way across the board. I think that makes for a lot of excitement for this game. It makes it kind of a marquee game. And I guess from the Lions standpoint, what do you think? What do you think they look at when they look at the Bombers and see a way to maybe beat them? Because this is a team that went 15-3, beat the Lions in the only game when they really were going head-to-head and it was meaningful. The Bombers won that game. How do you think the Lions approach us and have a chance to win against a team in its own barn, cold day, and such a strong team overall?
Yeah, like you said, there's so many similarities. That's actually the nexus of my story for tomorrow is they're the same pretty much across the board, except for in some key categories like, hey, the Bombers are the 2-time defending champions. I mean, they're like the older, more mature version of the Lions. The Lions haven't gotten there yet. They have the potential to get there. They just haven't gotten there yet. Now, we talked about Zach Collaros. We talked about Nathan Rourke. We talked about his defenses. Brady Oliveira, James Butler, 2 1,000-yard rushers. It's even. So I don't think the Lions, you know, they haven't won there since 2017. I think they're 1-7 going back to like 2015. You know, you would think there would be some kind of mental stigma kind of hanging over their head, but the Lions don't see themselves as the underdogs. You know, that's a word that they've, you know, kind of poo-pooed, you know, ever since beating the Stamps. It's not something that they really think. They think as if they can execute and you know, make plays, like all the players always say, we got to make plays. They can win this game. So I don't think they're going in there with any kind of fear or disrespect. And in some ways, that game early in the season when it was a meeting of the two undefeated teams, I think that was a good thing because the Lions came in feeling pretty good about themselves, drinking their own Kool-Aid, and Winnipeg reminded them that, hey, yeah, we're still the two-time defending champs. So I think that sort of reminded the Lions how much work they have to do, and the trials and tribulations of the season have kind of shown them that you've seen the progression of them getting better. So I think, you know, they come into this game feeling like they are not underdogs, but they are peers and equals, and it should be an outstanding game.
Yeah, that's great analysis, actually, from that standpoint, no doubt. I think it's pretty fair to say that the Lions are going to have a chance to put up some points and some yards against the Blue Bombers defense. This defense is very good, but it's been a little bit vulnerable. They've had 15 different players in the secondary this year. That's been a revolving door, and there's different guys going in there this week. That's a great opportunity for players like Rourke and Rhymes to make hay. The one area where I don't know if they can do it, they certainly were good against Calgary, but can you keep Winnipeg's offense off the field long enough to give Nathan Rourke the opportunity to win the game for you? Because honestly, the Zach Collaros-led Bombers offense has been lights out this year, and they've done an incredible job of controlling the football, of eating up time, but also making big plays. And there's a lot of weapons out there. So that's what really hurt, I thought, you know, in the game in July in Vancouver. And it's a long time ago, there's no doubt about it, but it was the way Winnipeg just, you know, was on the field all the time and putting up points that, you know, Rourke had a pretty decent game. He threw 3 long bombs. He had 2 touchdown passes to Rhymes, but they never had a chance to get in it because Winnipeg's offense was so strong. So I really see this as being about BC's defense finding a way to slow down Collaros and the Bombers. Don't you agree?
No, I absolutely agree. I mean, no offense to the Calgary Stampeders, but Zach Collaros and Jake Maier, they're not in the same stratosphere right now. They're two very different quarterbacks. And what we saw last week was, you know, a lot of emphasis was placed on the Stampeders' run game coming into this, and how is BC going to stop this twin-headed monster of Dedrick Mills and Kadeem Carey? And, you know, people really didn't think they would do it, and they did it. Like, they only ran the ball, I think it was 10 times between the two of them, and they shut them down. You know, there was a lot of times they came up to run the ball, and then the Lions showed a defensive front that kind of got them to, you know, back out of that and throw the pass. But I don't think you can do that with Winnipeg. Zach Collaros is too good of a quarterback. You know, you could dare Jake Maier to beat you with the ball in the air. You can't do that with Zach Collaros. He is too good, too experienced. There are too many weapons for him to throw to. So, you know, defensively, the Lions have a big job in front of them if they can, you know, limit some of those big plays like you were talking about, you know, and just force, you know, the Bombers to move the ball slowly and methodically. Then I think we'll see, a closer game. But if they allow them to get behind the defense and get big chunks and put points on the board, it's going to be a long night for BC.
Well, JJ, I feel like we could probably talk about this all day. There's so many things to unpack about this game, but I think at some point you just got to let them go out there and play, and it's going to be one heck of an entertaining football game, as you said. I thank you very much for joining me from Vancouver. For Postmedia, he's JJ Adams. I'm Ted Wyman. Thanks for watching.